to invite you today to the Connect Show from KFXB. It is basically connecting people with people. You are on the segment called All Things Recovery. An organization called IRCO is hosting it, and that means Iowa Recovery Rescue Community Organization, which was formed to find solutions to the, what can I say, the things that are lacking in recovery across the state of Iowa, to do things like build housing and open recovery centers and reduce stigmas and offer training and so many other things that we have in mind to help people. It's all about helping people. But as part of this show, we interview people that have stories regarding recovery. And today on the show, I have Darla Scheffert. And I want to welcome you, Darla, to the show today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Darla has a very interesting story. We've heard people talk individually about the fact they've been through recovery. But Darla basically has a story that really takes a lot of bravery. It's a sensitive subject. And I'll allow her to tell the story, but it took a lot of courage for Darla to be on the show today. I want to share the story that she has to tell, and nobody can tell it like she can because it's affected her and her family. So Darla, I'm going to start out. Darla had a daughter, and I'm going to have Darla talk about her daughter, but all the wonderful traits that your daughter had.
Kelly was a wonderful, wonderful mother. She really was. She was a beautiful human being. She loved everybody. She never was mean, said cruel words to anybody. She loved to draw. She had all kinds of traits. She was genuine. She was one of those people that she did not like confrontation, ever. Mm-hmm. Did not like that. She was just beautiful. She really was. She was a kind person.
That's awesome. You said she got married to a very good man.
Yes, she did.
And they had some kids?
Well, the kids were not his. He would be their stepdad.
Yeah. But
he was good to them.
Yes, but she has some children.
Yes, she has 2 boys.
You want to tell us about those children?
Alex is 18 and Devin is now 21.
Okay, and tell us the story about your daughter. Obviously, you know that she had some substance use disorders, and give us some history on that. You know, when she started, how it mushroomed, what were the things that, you know, we'll go down the list of what triggered it, etc.
Oh, Kelly, at first it was mostly all alcohol when she was young.
So alcohol was the gateway.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, you know, along the way she had the 2 boys, and along with alcohol started coming depression and pills probably for depression and, you know, other health issues that she had. And then, I mean, along that way came different times of suicide attempts.
Let me just say this once, Darla. It says roughly 1/3 of adults who have a substance use disorder also suffer from depression. So it's brought on by substance use disorders. You can't say substance use disorder and not say behavioral health, brain health. If you say mental health or behavioral health, most of the time it involves some kind of substance use disorders. Many times it does. So, and among the individuals with recurring major depression, 16.5% have an alcohol disorder. So exactly what you're saying, what happened with Darla and her daughter, you know, is pretty much the norm in America. So anyway, so she started out with alcohol. That was her gateway, and then it went on to depression. And how old was she about that time that all that was going on?
Oh, she was younger than 18 when it first started, because I'm actually her stepmom. So when her dad and I got married, she was already on her way with the substance or alcohol abuse. And
so she started really early. So
yes.
What kind of things and how did it affect her life adversely? Like How did it affect school?
She never finished school.
She didn't.
No.
So, but it affected her schooling.
Oh yeah.
Probably attendance.
Oh yes. That's
Yeah.
why she quit.
Yeah.
She just wasn't going anymore.
And probably it caused her to get involved in other things and things that weren't healthy for her.
And the wrong people, the wrong crowds.
Yes, yes. So continue to tell us the story.
Well, then as a few years went on, and you know, she had the 2 young boys, and the drinking and suicide attempts became more often, and it got to the point where one, she was flown to a big hospital and almost died, and we had to fight to get, you know, try to get the boys, and we couldn't have them because they were over the state line. So she went through recovery up in Minnesota for 3 months, and then they came back here to live with us.
Yeah.
And they lived with us for a few months, and she started going backwards again, and I simply said, you know, the choice is yours. You either straighten out or there's the door. The boys can stay, but you'll need to leave.
And how old was she then?
Oh,
20s maybe? Still teen, yeah.
later 20s maybe, yeah.
Yeah. It's, one of the things that you had mentioned was that she got into prescription drug usage. You
Well, I
mentioned
think
that.
with her health problems and her mental health problems, she used those when she would try to hurt herself.
What do you feel like the impact on her children?
Severe impact on her children.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I mean once we did get custody of them, a lot of counseling and just going to take the older one, just going to get a new pair of glasses was a horrendous ordeal. It really was.
My. You know, so many parents are out there, just like you, Darla, that go through these types of things, and I'm sure they feel very alone in all of it. You know, I mean, when you went through that, how did you feel as far as help that was available?
There was none. You felt like you were alone. I mean, it was me and my husband, and it felt like you were battling the world because it felt like every step you took 5 steps back. Like there was no one there to help. There was no agencies to help us.
So I think there's a big void as far as services, of enough services. I think there's help out there. It's just the fact that substance use disorder has become so epidemic that there's just not enough help. You also made the statement that when your daughter was going through this, that she said all these treatment facilities are shutting down.
Yes, she was in Cedar Rapids at a treatment facility, and then we got her back from there, and then we needed to place her again, so we thought maybe Des Moines, but everywhere, it's just like they're all closing up. There's no help for these people anymore.
And it's become a bigger problem for the government, but I know that Mount Pleasant Treatment Center that shut down. There was Mecca, I think, in Iowa City that shut down in the last 5, 6, 7 years. And I'm sure it's probably a lack of funding. It costs a lot of money to take care of folks when they come in with substance use disorders, because they need 24-hour care around the clock, you know. And so it's really become a big problem. But I believe there has to be answers to all of this, you know.
Right.
I think that, you know, substance use disorder is very, very common. I talked to one gal that was in corrections at the time, and she said, all my friends, she said, everybody I know is on some kind of substance. Everybody I know. And I just thought, my, oh my, you know, I can't imagine being in circles of friends where that's all your friends do.
Right.
You know, so, you know, in America, we need some help with this. We really, really do. It's substance use disorder, 75% report not receiving or not ever having received treatment. And then a lot of times treatment can be 70% failure rate. for those that do go.
Right.
A survey of American adults revealed that drug use disorder is common, co-occurs with a range of mental health disorder, and often goes untreated. What we don't hear about many times, the fact that substance use disorders create behavioral health. It creates brain health issues. It changes people's personalities. And we don't hear about that. We only hear about, those that overdose, or, how many times someone runs to a hospital. But we don't hear about the long-term effects. For instance, what it's doing to families, what it's doing to parents. A lot of times, I hear that parents just give up because they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go for help. So we've got some really big problems in America that need to be addressed. And when you think the fact that many of these, I would say a good percentage, are young people. And now the youth are starting to get into substance use disorders even earlier than they ever were. So we've got a big problem in America. So, it says that over 50% of suicides are connected with dependence on drugs. So, there's over 41,000 suicides every year. And when you think that the Vietnam War, the whole total of the Vietnam War was like 58,000 casualties, and suicides, 41,000. Okay, then last year we had substance use disorders, I don't even think alcohol related, were over 90,000. If you figure there's 130,000 people that died, predominantly a lot of them young in their lives, and that's a lot. So, here is your daughter, and what was your daughter's first name?
Kelly.
Kelly. Her, she sought out treatment, tried to find help. What else can people do but seek out help? How do you think our current system has failed, Darla?
The failing I see is they send the people that need this help. You send them to these treatment centers, they get out, and once they're out of that, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
There's there is some support groups, things like that, but unless those people really dedicate and stay with that, you fall right back. Or you go right back to those same people you were hanging around with, and
So what you're really saying is there's a huge, it's almost like, what can I say, walking off a cliff. You've got all this help for 30 days, or 14, or 10, or 7, and then once you get out, it's like, okay, now what do I do? And because there's nothing in place, that's where recovery housing needs to come in. Like Liberty Recovery Community, what we're doing here in Dubuque. Then when they get out of treatment, they go to Liberty, and then they're surrounded by more help.
Right.
Their peers, everything they need to keep that month of treatment extended and going forward. What are some of the other things you think housing would really help? What else?
Support groups for the families.
That's
not just the parents, but the children that are left in this aftermath. They need support. Not only sending them to counseling, but to be with kids that are going through it, that they can talk to each other.
That would be awesome.
Yes.
That's a
that's
great
what the kids
idea.
need.
That's a fabulous idea. So, support groups for parents and for children.
Correct.
That would be awesome.
Yes.
Recovery housing. Any other things that you can think of? Maybe a place you could go that you could say, okay, here's a problem I have. What's the next step?
Yeah.
That would be a big one, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Well, who knows? Maybe there's a way that can be done. I certainly hope so.
Yes.
But I definitely think we need more solutions and more innovations, regarding substance use disorders for this to get better. I know that a majority of the funding goes towards treatment, and I'll tell you, treatment's needed. It's definitely needed. And even the treatment we have, there's not enough of it.
No, correct.
So we're behind we're starting out behind already. to move forward. So, you know, what are the initial symptoms that she exhibited that you knew, Darla, something was wrong with Kelly?
Some behavior changes. Like 1 minute she'd be real happy-go-lucky, and then the next minute she might be a little angry at you, and that wasn't her. So you knew when her mood kind of swings that something was going on. Lots of times we could tell it by, you know, by the boys' behavior too. You know, if
Children
yes,
are reacting to her behavior?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
That's interesting.
angry. You know, that I'm taking care of my little brother. That's my mom's job. Why am I having to do it? You know,
Yeah.
and just acting out
So her personality changed
a little
a little?
while she was doing this. But if she wasn't on anything, you know, and she was great.
So did you see a progression where she started out where it was once in a while and then it just progressed more and more and more? Or it kind of snowballed?
Towards the end more, we didn't have a lot of contact with her, only when it was time for visitations with the boys. So she didn't call a lot and stuff, so I didn't get to hear that daily, you know, how she was doing or anything like that. Holidays, things like that.
You didn't hear or you did hear from her?
We did she always came on holidays.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
You know, severed relationships is very, very common with folks that have substance use disorders because of the shame, the guilt, the condemnation. I know people that, parents, and like one lady, her son said, "Mom, when I'm doing drugs, I just don't come around you because I don't want to make you feel bad."
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very common. It's just really, really a difficult situation. And you know, Darla stated that just times you just don't know what to do.
You don't. You're lost. And you don't know who to turn to for help. You don't know where there is any help. And that's another thing that needs to be brought out more public, I guess, made, where people can go for help. You just don't know what to do when you're in that situation, or when your child has just overdosed and you know, they're in the hospital or whatever, and you're sitting here, what do I do now? You know, where do we go for help? Who helps us?
Where do we go from here?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, I know parents that have teenagers that are dealing with substance use disorders, and they find themselves getting in their van late at night, searching the streets for their kids. They're at their wits' end. They just don't know what to do, or their kids will they'll wake up in the middle of the night and that child will just be gone. Just decided it didn't want to stay at home and do the right things. It wanted to go out in the street. And that's got to be so devastating for parents. I can't
Absolutely.
I can't imagine the mental anguish that parents all over Dubuque, you know, Cedar Rapids.
It's everywhere.
It is
everywhere.
Everywhere.
And it could be your neighbor next door going through it, and you don't even know it.
My oh my, it's very much in some ways a hidden. When it says stigma, the word stigma means a mark of disgrace.
Yes.
And to the point, I think that stigma goes with the families too.
Yes.
They feel bad, like, how did I go wrong?
Right.
What did I do? You know,
Right.
why did this happen? Right?
What could we have done? What should we have done?
Yeah. I'm sure that those questions just go over and over in people's minds all the time, what to do. But that mark of disgrace, it's an entrapment. It truly is an entrapment. It's an entrapment for them to be able to get better. It really is, because they may be doing all right, and then their mind will go back to regrets of things they did, and then it goes from there into depression, you know, and then depression is a trigger. You know, they're so down and out that they think, well, this is what I am. I'm going to go do it, you know, and it's this vicious cycle of entrapment. That's the only one of the ways I can describe an addiction, is an entrapment.
Yeah.
It's like they absolutely just can't find a way out, you know, and we just need so much more than what we're doing in America. It needs to be central focus, I think, in this country. I mean, we need infrastructure, we need a lot of things, but we're losing lives every day to this.
And so many times it's a cry for help. They just need help, and they don't know how to ask, where to ask. Mm-hmm. They already know that they've hurt you as a parent.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes you do have those kids that just refuse to voluntarily be committed, you know.
They don't have a problem, that's why. They think they don't.
There you go too.
They think they don't, but they do.
Yeah, there's another angle of, I'm all right,
Right.
you know, I can handle this, or
I can stop, I can do it on my own.
Yeah, and that's kind of self-deception,
Right.
when you say what
Yes.
they're dealing with. But all along the way, you've got the parents that are standing by watching all this and just, you know, like I said, just don't know what to do. It's, you know, it's just, to do it, I mean, you can't do anything all over again, you know, you really can't. But I found it interesting, some of the things that Darla said, you know, about her daughter, you know, and Darla is raising her 2 grandchildren. I have to commend you for that. I mean, that shows a lot of what type of person you are, to take 2 children on. Of course, they're her grandkids, but still, the fact that you took them and you're raising them and helping them, and I just have to commend you for that.
Devin is now out on his own, living with our other son, and Alex just graduated, and we had them for 11 years in our custody.
So what are they doing with their lives?
Devin works at a retirement home, Cascade, he's a cook, and Alex is working out at Firestone.
That's wonderful.
And he also is going to be going to school this fall to be an EMT.
Wow. So you've made a huge impact on those kids' lives. Probably in a very unstable situation, unstable home, you took them out of there and raised them and created a stable home for your grandchildren.
Yes.
And it's really, and your husband, he's all a part of that too.
Yes.
Bruce.
Yes.
And you know, it just look. I mean.
And even our other children. I mean, we had 7 other kids living at home. So they
probably just joined in too, and just were all part of it.
Yes.
That's tremendous. It really, really is. And you know, I when I was talking to Darla, you know, what, Darla, are some things that you have learned, looking back, that you could tell people on the camera, you know, what you've learned, or tidbits of information you could pass on to them, or ways of recognizing that your child is in trouble, you know, because not everybody knows the cues and the signs.
First of all, always listen to your child. Listen to what they're telling you. Never, ever give up on them. Always tell them that you love them. Mm-hmm. Don't ever leave a conversation being angry, you know, because it could be the last time that you see them or talk to them. Mm-hmm. So.
What do you think are some of the cues or things that parents should look for for children that are in trouble with substance use disorders?
Staying in their rooms a lot, acting like they're hiding something, you know, when they come in. I think a new thing is these book bags. People really need to be watching that too. These kids that walk around everywhere with a book bag, there's a reason why they're carrying that book bag everywhere, especially when there's no school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see kids, you know, I know of some children that are dealing with that, and it's skateboards and book bags.
Yeah.
Because skateboards can take them places. They don't have bikes now. It's skateboards and book bags. But that's a good point. Do you think there's any other type of cues, Darla, that...
Shutting down, not talking as much as they used to, or telling you as much as they used to, you know. Losing friends. Don't have the friends they used to have, that they were close with.
They change friends?
Change friends. Yes.
Wrong kind of friends.
Right.
The shutting down is a pretty, that's pretty much a common symptom of substance use disorders. Because of the shame, guilt, and condemnation, and knowing they won't meet your approval, they isolate. That's a surefire way to know that someone's got a problem. And even really behavioral health, isolating. Just isolating from the public, isolating from family, friends, like you said, changing friends, a whole group of friends. They take on these new friends that you know are probably, probably kids that come from, maybe no one's home at their house.
Right. Broken homes, parents that are working late hours, single parent homes, that they don't have that extra help there.
Yeah. I tell you, it's just a growing epidemic, but I believe there is hope for parents. Like Darla said, continue to love your kids, continue to listen to them. Their bedroom is their little space that's theirs, and that's probably where you will find most evidence
Yes.
of what's going on in their life, But to spend that time talking with your child and maybe taking them places and just that one-on-one time with you and them, and maybe asking them, how is everything? Is there
Right.
any way I can help you, honey? Is there any, those type of things. Like Darla said, to love them, to listen to them. I'm just going to leave you just a little bit, Darla, the rest of the show to look into that camera right there, and just talk to the parents about, just what you think all that they should do when they're going through this difficult time.
Never ever give up. There's always hope. Always hope out there somewhere. So never give up. Always tell them that you love them, no matter what.
That's awesome. I want to thank you for tuning in to All Things Recovery. We've enjoyed you tuning in today. Thank you.